If someone asks you, how long have you been studying English? What is your response? Normally, some people might say, well, I've been studying English for 2 years, or for 5 years, or ever since I was 6 years old when I started school. But is that the right response? I don't think so. And today, we're going to discuss why it's more important to talk about the hours of contact you have with English than the years that you've been studying it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English on Autopilot. And today, we're going to talk about why most people get it wrong when talking about how long they've been studying a language, especially when we talk about comprehensible input, the method that I use to teach English, the method I use to learn Spanish, the method that I think is the best way to learn any language in the world, the most natural way, the same way that you learned your first language as a baby when you had people around you speaking. As you're growing up, before you even say your first words, you receive comprehensible input. It's the only way your brain naturally can make those connections about from the world around you. It's the only way that you can understand what people are saying is by them speaking to you or speaking around you while you're a baby and connecting those ideas from the image or what's happening to the words that those people are saying. Now, someone told me that they've been studying English for 2 years. Okay, sure. I asked them how they've been studying English, whether it's through comprehensible input or the more traditional method in a classroom. They explained that it was in a classroom. Okay, so let's imagine, right? They're in a classroom. They live in a country, for example, they're from Spain, where English is not the language here. So every week they have 2 hours of class. They have two classes, that is an hour each class. So the class is not year round, it's about 9 months out of the year. So let's imagine 9 months out of the year, two classes a week. Okay? So every month they're getting about 8 hours of input. 8 hours of input for 9 months. 72 hours of input. That's not very much realistically. Stephen Krashen said that to really reach a very good level, not native like, to me, I disagree with Stephen Krashen here that 1500 hours makes you equal or just like a native speaker. However, 1500 hours will get you to a very, very high level of fluency in the language. 1500 hours. This person is about 104 hours in. To me, they're still at the very beginning stage of the language. They're still just starting to understand. They probably rely 100% on translations in their class, and it's still extremely difficult for them to understand native speakers. Watching native TV shows is out of the question. Podcast, forget about it. Things like that, that after 2 years, you would like to be able to do. Of course, it's natural. But they're counting how long they've been studying English incorrectly. They've really only been studying English for 104 hours. They're about 1,400 hours shy of reaching that level of being super comfortable with the language, quite confident, being able to live in an English speaking country without a problem. Now, I know sometimes you might think 1,500 hours is a ton. In a classroom, absolutely. But we're talking about comprehensible input here. We're talking about you consuming content that's interesting for you, things that you want to watch, things that you would probably watch in your native language. Comprehensible input, the reason why it's superior is because not only does it help you make connections to the language without using translations, without confusing your native language with the second or third language you might be learning, understanding the culture by watching videos and immersing yourself in the language. On top of that, it's fun. It can be a lot of fun. At the beginning, I understand it's difficult. I understand because when I first started with Spanish, it was difficult and it was tiring. And at the beginning, maybe I only watched an hour a day. But as you get going and as you consume more and more content and you begin to really acquire the language, now I go all day connected to Spanish. If I have time to watch a TV show, I haven't watched a TV show in English since I started learning Spanish because I don't need to and I get to enjoy Spanish TV shows. Or if I would watch a TV show made in the United States, I even watch it dubbed into Spanish because, well, it's the perfect opportunity to improve my language skills while enjoying. I also always am listening to podcasts. If and I like podcasts anyway before I started learning Spanish. I always liked podcasts. So, while I walk to work, while I cook, while I wash the dishes, whatever it may be, I'm always listening to the language. I'm always surrounded by it. Now, we don't need to go crazy. You don't need to you don't need to listen to a podcast while you're asleep. No, there's no studies that back that up. Some people might say to do it. I think, honestly, it's not going to help you much at all. If it makes you relax to fall asleep to the sounds of English, go for it. But don't expect you to get a big boost from listening while you're asleep. And also don't count those hours to the amount of hours you've been studying the language. Now, the best way to keep track of the amount of hours that you're listening to, you're consuming, to be able to see how much you've watched or listened to see, to help you understand and to really notice the improvements, because you'll notice every 50, 100 hours, you're going to notice a big improvement in your understanding as well as your output, your speaking. You're going to notice, I promise. But I recommend that you do track your hours. I highly recommend that you track your hours, the amount of time watching, because sometimes it's nice to have a goal as well, to have a daily goal. Put it at 30 minutes or an hour. If you want to be crazy, go for more. It's no problem. At one point, when I was learning Spanish, I was recording 5, 6 hours in a day because, well, I had a different circumstance. I lived in Spain and I needed to learn the language as quickly as possible to survive. So, if you're in that situation, go for it. The most important thing is to not do too much where you don't want to keep studying, where you don't want to keep getting input. You do not want to burn out. That's not the goal. So set your goal at something reasonable, because also it feels good when you reach your goal every day. When you reach your goal and you say, hey, I watched 30 minutes of English, pat yourself on the back, celebrate it, and if you have the energy and the time, keep getting input if you want, of course. Now, I highly recommend tracking on an Excel spreadsheet, could be very good. I also recommend a website. This is not a sponsorship. They are not paying me to say this. I just think genuinely it's a great website to track languages. It's meant for comprehensible input. It's meant for learners like me and like you. It's called Lingo Track. Okay, I'm going to put it in the description below. And again, it's a simple website. It's free to use. It's free to track all your input hours. There is a pro feature where you can track, I think, more than one language, a few things like that. I've never paid for it. I've never paid for this website. I don't think you have to. If you get really into comprehensible input and want to learn two languages at the same time, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. But the free version I think is fantastic. It's excellent. It has nice graphs. It has nice visuals for you to see. If you're someone that enjoys seeing visuals, seeing their improvement, and they're not experts at Excel, because I know some of you might be very, very skilled at Excel, it's a great option. It's a great option. But the main thing, the main thing is to track your hours. Tracking your hours, you don't have to do it forever, right? You don't have to do it. For me, I tracked my hours till about 1600, right? 1600, 1700, 1700 hours. And after that, I'd already reached a good level in the language, and I knew this was never going to stop. I was never going to stop watching TV shows in Spanish, listening to podcasts, reading books, whatever it may be, talking with people, all those things. I knew I was never going to stop. And so I didn't need to track anymore because I reached the level that I was not happy with, right? I always want to improve, but I just didn't have the same motivation to track the hours because it wasn't necessary anymore. I knew I was going to keep improving. I knew that I was going to make it there. But I really, really think that tracking the hours from 0 to 1,500 was a huge motivator for me. Seeing those hours accumulate and at the same time notice my improvement, right? Now, there's another reason why I think tracking hours is great because it's a good way to gauge what you're ready to watch or to listen to. Now, let's say you're at 300 hours and you find a TV show, an American TV show that looks very interesting. You start watching it, but you realize it's quite difficult. No problem. Save it. Save it for later. Keep watching, keep listening, then come back to it when you're at 500 hours, right? After another 200 hours of listening and watching, come back to it. Now you understand it a little more. It's not great, but you notice improvement. Okay, save it again, come back again at 700 hours, and all of a sudden you're watching it and you're just enjoying it. And you're thinking, wow, that's improvement. You're noticing that improvement. The traditional method makes you feel like you're improving, right? Because you keep following the chapters, you keep going, and it keeps going forward. However, you reach a point, you reach a level where all of a sudden you've learned the grammar, you've learned vocabulary lists, and a lot of the times you start forgetting it and you have to go back and restart certain chapters, things like that. With comprehensible input, it's not the same because you're acquiring that vocabulary. Sure, once in a while you might forget the word, but then someone says it or you see it in a show and all of a sudden it sticks. And with comprehensible input, you'll realize you know some words, you know these vocab words, this grammar, these expressions that native speakers use, and you don't remember where you learned it. Could have been in a podcast, a TV show, but the thing is you probably heard it a lot in different contexts, in different shows and podcasts, and you didn't even realize. So, again, I highly recommend tracking your hours for the motivation and to notice the improvement as well. I know it worked for me and it has worked for a lot of people. It has worked for a lot of people. You do not have to, but again, I highly recommend it. Put in the comments below, do you track your hours with comprehensible input? After this video, are you going to start tracking it? The why I make so many videos because I want to give you as many hours of content to help you. I want to give as many hours of content to help you reach native level content and feel comfortable. If you know someone studying English with comprehensible input, share this video with them and ask, do they track their hours? All right, everyone. If you like this video, please go ahead, put a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to keep getting more input, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye.